This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy!
Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
CatBusRuss,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guest and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, Ninety, 4 FOR, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Previously on 90 for Chill, the podcast.
This is the story of Dracula, a creature who destroys all whom he touches. Dracula the terrifying, the feared, who sleeps in the tombs of the dead by day and arises at night to inflict his terror upon the innocent and the unsuspecting.
Oh, you must help me. You must. You're my only hope. You must.
I'll help you. I promise.
Please try and understand. This is not Lucy, the sister you loved. It's only a shell, possessed and corrupted by the evil of Dracula.
How do you destroy a fiend who has so far proven himself indestructible? Those who come to end his reign of terror stay to become his victims.
Castle Dracula is somewhere here in Klausenberg. Will you tell me how I get there?
You ordered a meal, sir. As an innkeeper, it's my duty to serve you. When you've eaten, I ask you to go and leave us in peace.
This is the doctor who dares to challenge the vampire Dracula. This is the anguished man who fears for the lives of his beloved, the girl who is his sister, and the one that is his wife. Dracula, the bedeviled master of all that is evil.
Now available on video cassette.
No man has ever provoked such terrible fear and such haunting desire. Dracula.
Oh God, help my poor soul.
Actually!
Dracula. Rated R.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
And that funky jazz has probably blown my ears out. So, hey, you were looking for a short conversation anyhow, Rory. So, but this is 90 for Chill, the podcast. I'm just chatting along with my older sister, the Poetic Critic on Letterboxd. That's the Poetic Critic. You see, it always just throws me off because you got the two C's. Like, I know living, like, I can never just see myself with a Russ Stevens email address. I mean, I need that underscore. I mean, like, we all know two S's is too much. Or one too much. But three, that's just right out. Now I'm thinking about it, I might as well just say 5. 1, 2, 5. 3, sir. But, so, basically, again, doing some Letterboxd stalking of my older sister's profile and her diary. I have gotten around to all the Dracula I think she's gotten a hold of recently. So, that ended up with a drunken double feature for me last night. And I think you really gotta look at the ratings, I think, before you plan your double feature out. Like, you know, you want to leave on a good note. And, you know, all I can say is the Dracula by the guy who did Short Circuit and War Games was not the right one to end on. Historically, though, 1979's Dracula from Universal Pictures is a little too long for the podcast qualification, but the film I watched prior, the first real modern Dracula, perhaps, the Horror of Dracula, the title it was given on HBO Max, but 1958's with Christopher Lee's first appearance as...
Yeah, Horror of Dracula is what it's known as in the U.S., but in the U.K., it is just known as Dracula. Mm-hmm. Apparently, there are some... I've heard, though this might not be the entire reason, that Universal has some rights issues to just the title Dracula.
That wouldn't surprise me, but...
And that this probably that might have had more to do with why they called it Bram Stoker's Dracula in 92 than anything else. That was what Roger Ebert said. Mm-hmm. But... I've heard conflicting discussions as to why that particular case was the one it was. But yeah, in the UK, the first Hammer Dracula movie is just called Dracula.
Okay, that's what I was. Eventually I was able to find officially, just really pain in the butt talking to my iTunes and Siri. Yes, so that's the Hammer. I mean, that's pretty much what. I would say they did movies prior to that. I understand that. I mean, they pretty much were the Universal of horror in England.
Pretty much. I mean, it is interesting that in that stretch between the 1930s and to the late 50s, Universal's take on the public domain horror characters or just concepts was that ingrained, although that makes sense if you remember that that run of movies continued well into the 1940s. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in effect, Hammer got on the map by basically doing some of that material again, but in a way that allowed for more violence and sensuality than had been allowed at that time. Mm-hmm. Especially because keeping in mind that in the U.S. we still had the Hays Code going back then.
Right.
American filmmakers wouldn't have had that kind of leeway. Mm-hmm. And this was a big thing. One of the things that's part of why the Hays Code crumbled in the 60s was because we were getting more imports from other countries that had more sex, violence, and what have you. And they were proving very, very popular. And that included the Hammer horror films and the early James Bond movies, which were as violent and sexual as you could get at the time for most audiences.
Right. I'm kind of thinking with that thing about the Hays Code, it kind of brings me back to the one time my ex-girlfriend Cindy, my best friend Stephanie, and her boyfriend at the time watched Valley of the Dolls. And that's pretty much the Sharon Tate character is the one who went over to do the nudie films and is now trying to establish herself back in Hollywood.
Right.
And then, Sharon Tate ends, I don't know, there's this sense of foreshadowing. Oh, yeah, she's going to end up getting caught in a brutal murder, but I digress.
When they ran the movie on Fox Movie Channel at the turn of the millennium, which is how I saw it, because Valley of the Dolls is one of the key camp films of the quasi-unintentional manner, I suppose, looking at it. They did it with, it was one of the movies they showed with these little pop-up video texts with info about the film. And yeah, when they get to the last scene for Tate's character, they do bring up what happened to her in real life. And the meta sense is pretty sad. There were actually a fair deal of sad outcomes for people associated with that movie. I mean, Jacqueline Suzanne didn't live that long comparatively. I think she passed away in the early 70s and only published 2 more novels.
I don't know. In a sense, it's almost cruel that Roger Ebert went and created the ultimate camp movie, the sequel, which with
Russ Meyer,
the
Valley of the Dolls,
right? And I mean, it's not like an entertaining watch, but you know he's nailing every point right.
Well, if you've seen enough late 60s studio movies that were trying to understand this youth culture thing.
Okay.
It's not all that different, but it's a lot more knowing about it.
Yeah.
You've seen there were a lot of... That is a fascinating time. I know some of my film Twitter acquaintances feel this way too. Is that the late 60s studio movies, as the old system is falling apart, and they know there is this youth culture that's going out to see movies like Easy Rider, and all the indie films that were kind of getting first on trend, like a lot of Roger Corman films were managing that. And the major studios were making attempts to try and get that kind of energy in their movies. And there's some really weird results, whether they were supposed to be taken seriously or not. Because I'm a big Peter Sellers fan, for those who don't know. And he actually did have a fair amount of interaction with the counterculture in the late 60s. But even and I Love You, Alice B. Toklas, which is a comedy about a square guy who, in a roundabout way, becomes part of the hippie movement.
Right.
And it's something of a fan favorite in the serious seller circles. It's very good. They recently, TCM likes to show it every now and again.
Okay.
They're very fond of it. That's one of the better ones. But then you get something like The Magic Christian, which is this wackadoodle spectacular about the world's richest man adopting a homeless guy, which is Sellers adopting Ringo Starr as his son. And it becomes a series of sketches, which is basically they go around and and convince people to humiliate themselves for money. It's almost a sketch movie in that sense, and by the end it gets to a wild finale on a cruise ship full of nouveau riche people and all sorts of weird... Christopher Lee has a cameo as a porter who turns out to be Dracula. That's typical of how weird the ending gets. It gets very random in the last half hour.
Oh, well, I mean...
But that's a throwaway gag, as Christopher Lee shows up.
Well, okay. Well,
and it works only in hit and misses. Another one from about this time Warner Brothers did was one called The Phinx, Phynx, I believe, which is about the U.S. government dealing with a crisis where all the great American icons of entertainment, ranging from Colonel Sanders to the Clayton Moore, the Lone Ranger, to the Busby Berkeley Showgirls, and so forth, and these people are all playing themselves, are being kidnapped by the Romanian government in an attempt to kill the American spirit. So the American government's solution, because they had suggested by one of the many people they have infiltrating pretty much every square and hip movement there is that create the world's biggest rock group that is so popular they will be asked to go to Romania and have them smuggle everybody out of the country. And that movie also has tons of weird throwaway cameos, like James Brown and Richard Pryor have, like Blink and You'll Miss It bits.
So overly ambitious version of Scavenger Hunt, really. I mean, and and there's that guy.
There is a big feeling of there's that guy in a lot of these late 60s movies. You look up the cast list for Candy sometime.
Oh, I think I have, but yeah.
Or even the parody Casino Royale got into this.
Yep.
And so you had a lot of these movies. And these were like the more lighthearted, satirical ones. The ones that were trying to be more serious, I guess, are even worse.
Well,
And so Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, if you've seen just a few of what was being put out by that point, you can see where Russ Meyer and company would go and just do the goofiest version of it possible.
Right. Yeah, we get a decapitation and then somebody gets to walk. Yay.
Well, I think it was Brad Jones as the Cinema Snob reviewed it, I think, and it has a line. So Z-Man decapitates a guy while the 20th Century Fox logo is playing. Roger Ebert might be the greatest screenwriter of all time.
Yes. But I guess you'd say in modern terms, it was kind of like all the horror reboots we had, late aughts. Kind of missed the point why I think the problem with like your Michael Bay produced horror movies from the later part of the aughts was that, oh, no, we don't need jokes. It's a horror movie. It's like, no, we enjoyed this for the sheer ridiculousness of it. Yeah. That's why I love Jason X. I mean, it's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it's very much aware that it's not a good movie.
Right. But let's go from that roundabout discussion back to talking about Dracula movies.
Right. No, you had the perfect bit with the just mentioning Christopher Lee. And it's like, yeah, but I have that tangent and
yeah, that was a good tangent.
Yeah. So, So the speaking of the Hays Code, I did like write down a top 10 list. 10 items for each feature that I got. So. What's your blood preference? Are you into the syrupy, like Possessor, or the paint, like Hammer films?
I think syrupy is more fantastical in nature. The paint approach, you can get more vivid colors that way, which is very important.
Yes, no, Dario Argento is big on the paint.
Yeah. Well, there's some of that in Tim Burton's Sweeney Todd, too, and it's hard not to think that wasn't deliberate.
Well, thinking about that was another thing I had on this. Was Michael Goh's casting as Alfred pretty much a tribute to the Hammer films?
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, he's also shows up in Sleepy Hollow.
I was going to say.
But I was just thinking, well, you got Dracula, the Batman, and Batman. So, all right, so 2 knocked off on that. So I will say... well, actually watching this, I'm thinking, during the hammering of meat, I get this experience doubleheader really made me want to watch Bram Stoker's, which I haven't watched from beginning to end, because it's like, I really need to get my names straight. Like, so Harker, I always thought was engaged to Mina, and
ever since the Universal version, at least, there's been a strange tendency for all the character names to get mixed up.
Yeah, okay, I'm just making sure. And, Harker being a vampire hunter, and not a very good one. Like, all right, do I kill Dracula before the sun rises, or sun sets, or do I kill the henchwoman? And I had that as a no, and then it's like, no, I gotta keep the 10, but I'm not really down with how the henchwoman died. Like, okay, she ages when she's killed. Shouldn't them boobs be all the way down to her bloody knees by that point? Game of Thrones did not back down on that when we had the entire Melisandre nude scene before she goes and revives Jon Snow.
I see what you're saying about having not seen a movie from start to finish, because there are some movies that just seem to turn up on cable all the time. And you watch them out of order like that, which is how I saw pretty much all of Dracula 79 back in the day. It was really popular on the Stars channels for a while.
So now, I guess another thing I caught from this watching Dracula 58 is perhaps all cops are bad. I mean, Fidelis et Mortem, faithful till death, is the NYPD's motto. So, you know, Michael Gough and basically, I don't. A problem with the vampire hunters when I'm after watching movies like Lair of the White Worm, is like Capaldi and Grant probably the best hunting duo I've seen.
And Glenn Erickson at DVD Savant said, he was disappointed by how that movie ended because he would have watched a series about all these characters hunting stuff down.
Yeah, but so Go and Cushing, not quite the same thing, but far more competent than Laurence Olivier.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the biggest problem with Dracula 79 is I'm cheering for Dracula. You know, like, Harker is a total dipshit. Laurence Olivier, like, okay, this is like, no, man, you were old and decrepit Nazi dude 2 years ago. Like,
well, in between, he played a Nazi hunter.
Oh.
In The Boys from Brazil.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that one's in between there. Yep.
Yeah.
But, no, I mean, there's nothing to scream home about Olivier's performance in this.
Yeah.
Donald Pleasance is a little too normal for my taste. I mean, this is a horror movie. This is where you,
well,
okay.
I think Dracula 79 definitely has a place in the vampire canon, and that's one of the first movies that tries to look at the Dracula thing with some sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
But as the wonderful MoriaReviews.com, Moria Reviews site, the science fiction, horror, and fantasy film review, a gigantic site that works out in New Zealand.
Okay.
Puts it as interesting as they try to put some new spins on the traditional vampire thing. It means it doesn't really work as a horror film because it winds up being too restrained because they don't know how to portray Dracula sympathetically without kind of neutering what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess part of this is that Frank Langella and John Badham, the director, had pretty conflicting ideas how they wanted to approach this thing. Because Langella, who was coming to this from Broadway, not unlike how Bela Lugosi got into films, because he had played Dracula on stage and was very well known. And Langella had been in a Broadway revival of the play that Lugosi had been in, and which is what the Universal film in 1930s was based on. And Langella saw it as wanted to take a much more romantic approach to it, and Badham apparently didn't quite feel the same way.
Right.
So there's kind of this push-pull going on.
So is that why Ali Sheedy doesn't kiss anybody in either of her films with Badham, be it War Games or Short Circuit?
I don't know. I wouldn't know what to say about that.
Well, I'm just saying, a little bit of romance. I mean, unless Johnny Five was had attachments there. I mean, right. you need a little more Gutenberg and Sheedy.
Well, and you see the push-pull also with Dracula, because you were asking me about this, and it was which version I've seen. Is it the original color scheme, or the desaturated one that was first used, I think, in the 1992 Laserdisc, which Badham helped supervise? Because Badham's idea was he wanted to shoot the movie in black and white.
Right. No, that's more than obvious.
Said, no, we don't want you to do that. We're spending a lot of money on this production. Because this was a huge release for Universal in 79. It was one of their big summer releases. And only recently, by way of Shout Factory, has the version with the original color scheme been made available again.
Okay.
Their Blu-ray release has the desaturated version on the first disc, and the original version with the original colors on a second disc.
Yeah, I can say that I was impressed that they were able to do that in 1992. But this is one of those, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And now you're slapping it on a lunchbox. And sorry, just tried my best, Goldblum there.
Yeah. Well, we can do a whole episode about, early colorization or other strange approaches that were taken with older movies.
Right.
Back in the VHS era. You could do a whole show on that.
Oh, geez. That was one thing we couldn't get back in 2001 when I was taking my first film course, and that was Angels with 30 Faces, and a lot of apologies from the instructor, because it was the colorized version. Basically, if you just want a description of that, watch Dick Tracy, because that's pretty much how well, how do we put the colors in here? Well, what did they do in the Dick Tracy comics? That's mob stuff.
Well, part of the problem with the early colorization is it was not uncommon for the people working on these to go back to find whatever color photos they could find of the production and try and duplicate those colors. Mm-hmm. But of course, the reason the colors were chosen was how they would film in black and white.
Right.
Roger Ebert discussed
this
often.
It's the classic.
And the result is that they're not going to look right if you bring them in, if you colorize it that way.
Well, it's the classic photo shared, like, this is the Addams family's house, and it's all pastels.
Yeah.
And had something else, but I mean, it's just really, once you got digital colorization, I mean, when you could do it all digitally, like the Coen brothers pioneered with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and then just totally taking out the colors. And
that became a whole can of worms.
I don't know about that. Like, I love the man who wasn't there just because of the...
I'm talking more about how it was one of those things that every filmmaker started.
Oh no! Again, as I say, we I don't know. We need a film course dedicated solely to the thoughts of Ian Malcolm. I don't know if we could make a semester out of it, but
I was gonna say
it's. Well, I mean, you could take pretty much. There's just should be a course on Jeff Goldblum. Period. Everything you can learn from The Fly. Everything, Everything.
That actually could be interesting.
Yeah,
it would be like an Accepted, where there's one of the classes is the rise and fall of Chevy Chase.
You see, I've never watched Accepted. I mean, the trailer was just too stupid with the. All right, let's just cut the Jonah Hill in a hot dog suit. Like, come on. But everything's like, I don't know, like Jonah Hill. I think with the exception of Moneyball is pretty much like, we got to make sure this is a comedy. Let's show him just totally change his persona just for the main character, be it Justin Long in Accepted or Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Going back to Dracula 79.
Okay.
There's some interesting stuff about it. It's one of the only Dracula movies I've seen with a car chase in it. I don't know why they moved up the story a few decades except to put a car chase in it.
Well, and it just doesn't work as well as the carriage chase and
other
and Dracula 58
other versions.
I mean, especially that kind of Dracula 58 was aware that it's a camp concept, and I think Dracula 79 not so much. They were
it's one of that's. We occasionally get these kind of adaptations that just seem to want to leech all the inherent fun out of the material. Drew McWeeny and Scott Weinberg on 80s All Over discussed this with relation to Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes from 1984.
Yeah, Christopher Lambert is just inherently funny in my opinion. And I love Christopher Lambert. It's like, but
I think that's one of the things why Santa Claus the movie has the hate-dom that it has.
Oh, it shouldn't.
Because it's trying to play a Santa Claus movie as more of a superhero movie, and that it just seems kind of weird. I know that Weinberg is doing an episode of his Patreon podcast, Overhated, about this movie, and apparently he and Kevin Murphy, the guest star, really tear into it, and that feeling that it's overhated as a podcast about famous flops and whether they deserve their reputations.
Right, and you have a similar podcast from Jessica Quaz and Joe Harper with
Second Chance Movies.
Right. So, I don't know. It's like listening to screen drafts at the baseball draft, and after all the controversy of you can't just leave A League of Their Own at number 7. No, you can't go and just leave the Sandlot shouldn't be in there as long as there's Bad News Bears. Still listening to the podcast. I don't know what ends up. And then they end up with The Natural. Mm-hmm. And a lot of love for The Natural.
Yeah.
And then you got to, Commissioner Brian Cogman. He basically no, it's just very cheesy and everything, which is what I have always felt The Natural. But what I'm getting at is a lot of the time when you see something like Santa Claus the movie turn something into a superhero, that might work today because everything's supposed to be a superhero now.
Yeah, you do wonder how some of these older flops would play now. I mean, it's often joked that technically the first Marvel theatrical movie is Howard the Duck.
Right. And people who get to go to the ranch love to try getting a picture with Howard. But I got that from the ID10T Hardwick and the guy who did the controversial Behind the Rides show now.
I will say with Dracula 79 that I think that John Williams score is seriously slept on.
No, from the first beat.
Yeah,
this is you are pumped.
That was a pretty. Just getting Williams alone to do your Dracula movie, that would be a pretty big thing in 1979. But he just brings it home. If nothing else, that is a slept-on score.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, 79 asked a question I came up with for 58, which was: had anybody nailed down the lid on a vampire coffin just for kicks? Let me out. It's a classic. What if R.J. Fletcher Sr. was here right now? What would he say? Let me out of this box. I can't breathe.
There's a scene in Carl Theodor Dreyer's 1932 film Vampire where a character finds themselves stuck in a coffin with a window in and is basically seeing their own funeral, if I remember correctly. So that's a little different.
Yeah.
79, talking about what a big deal the Dracula movie was, there were a ton of vampire-related films in 1979.
Well, you had Love at First Bite, and you had Werner Herzog's.
Nosferatu the Vampire.
Yep.
Came out that year, Werner Herzog.
Which is weird. There's just a random big-ass poster sitting backstage at the Madison Theater. I hope it didn't get burned down in the recent fire. For Nosferatu the Vampire. Mm-hmm. Just a Madison Theater. Somebody win the lotto. Somebody fix that joint. I want the Smashing Pumpkins back in Peoria. Thank you.
And Love at First Bite was a big hit for one of AIP's last big hits. And it actually got to theaters before the Universal Dracula did. And people, including the Walter Murch, who produced the Universal film, said that might have hurt their movie's chances at the box office.
No,
the big comedy about Dracula. Come out.
I really need to rewatch Mars Attacks. But after Independence Day came out,
I read a little earlier this year. Independence Day did just turn 25 this year.
Oh yeah,
and they did an oral history, and the creatives admitted that they knew they had to get their movie out first before Mars Attacks.
Well, I don't think Mars Attacks would have been but no, it would have totally neutered. Yeah. If we're already laughing at the concept.
Right. There were other movies involving vampires in one way or another in 1979. There was, even before Love at First Bite, there was the disco vampire comedy Nocturna.
Yes, no, we were talking about that softcore porn on a previous I think the one that we have actually dropped. We will drop her last conversation where I kind of went ultra heavy on Dead Dogs, Long Live Cats, and actually that's something, just bring up Possessor again. cat jumps on the table early on in the film. They remove the cat. Whole family dies. Justice for the cat. Okay, so yeah,
And there was also a film called Nightwing, which was not about vampires, but about vampire bats in the desert. And Nick Mancuso plays a hero out to stop them. I think David Warner's in that one too.
David Warner and vampires. That's haven't gotten around to that one back from like '86. My Best Friend's a Vampire, was that what it was called, or something like that?
There were a lot of vampire comedies, but that might be the one.
Okay.
There were a ton. Remember?
Oh no, we had
after Ghostbusters. There was kind of there was a wave of horror comedies trying to cash in on Young Frankenstein in the 70s. And then you had the post-Ghostbusters wave in the 80s.
Yep.
Everybody was trying to find an angle on spooks after that.
Right. And, horror never really got that. I mean, all you had was the Scary Movie franchise, and that's just all over the bloody place. You can't even really say it's about horror.
I think part of it is that horror and comedy share some of the base concepts. I mean, they go so well together as is.
Well, and
that
just
sometimes spoofing them seems redundant.
Well, and everybody was complaining about Freddy Krueger getting more funny as
jokier as that franchise.
Right, and then Child's Play is pretty much nothing but straight up satire now. I mean, I know there's a lot of love for Seed of Chucky, and I thought, okay, that one's just a little way too weird, but as I say, there's a lot of love that made this slashers draft of the aughts,
right,
on Screen Drafts.
Hello there. Pardon the interruption, but I failed to provide my Patreon link, and that is patreon.com/IDigCrazyFlicks. I Dig Crazy Flicks, all one word. You go there, you'll see an idea of what the sticker you're going to get will look like. If that's not reason enough to check it out, I don't know what else is. Thanks again for even considering the support.
Superman!
Now, special effects wise, I'm going with 58.
Yeah, that's a lower budget film, but it gets a lot of use out of what it has.
Like
the same thing goes with their another film I've been watching this month, because it's spooky season. You're watching horror movies. Is the first of their Frankenstein series, and that's also effective in that way. But with Dracula 79, there are some effective bits, like
the wolf trance.
The wolf through the window is pretty good for 79. But yeah, the big scene where Dracula bites in this version Lucy. I'm told, if I remember correctly, they got the laser machine from the Who because they were touring at the time.
Okay,
they
I was thinking very much. Okay, so we're stuck. We're stuck at this point with Victor and Robert Forster. We're going through the black hole. That's what I got during that sex scene.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is another thing that when you're trying to do upscale horror like this, and I'm not meaning this what they now call elevated horror. But when you were trying to do upscale horror, you were not necessarily going to focus so much on your effects work, I suppose.
Yeah.
At least not back then.
Right. I mean,
we were like 2 years away from the big special effects makeup revolution
in 81 with the American Werewolf in London, and then you had a lot of people. Right. That's right. And it just kind of sucks. Like Terminator, I don't want to say James Cameron ruins everything, but the morphing kind of just ruined a lot of just effects, period.
The 90s was a rough time.
Oh, the 80s 80s was prime for... It's once we had CGI and
that's what I mean.
Okay.
The transitional period of the 90s is very, very rough.
I mean, it's 80s, virtually the entire decade.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Spawn was a New Line movie, and this was before Lord of the Rings, so cheap shit. That's what they did. But, dude, Goro was more into, like, oh, come on.
I mean, you look at how well the 80s practical effects hold up now.
Right.
I mean, last week, TCM ran in prime time Little Shop of Horrors 86.
Oh, and, somehow that movie doesn't hit me like it hits other people, but you cannot deny the effects.
Yeah, I think the score is a banger. It's not one of my favorite musicals, but it is an amazing score. And
the score is great.
Effects work, especially because
I'm not big on a lot of the songs, like Suddenly Seymour, or the entire dream sequence. Like, these are pretty lame ass songs, in my opinion. I mean, Suddenly Seymour works best when you have Jim Belushi to go and shit on it.
Now see, for the Dyed in the Wool fans, that's the song that makes the show. I mean, it does have an emotional torque to it.
I get that, but it's
almost transcended in that way, considering it's Rick Moranis singing half of it.
Yeah,
and it does manage to work.
I don't know. I'm just like, I am very much in the vein, like, I had the same problem with Hercules and its songs. It's like, I guess I just don't have a thing for 50s styling in my stuff. No, 50s musicals were musicals. And they were probably...
Now, about 80s musicals, I do tend to gravitate more towards the ones that lean into or are the straight-up comedies. I've talked about how much I like Earth Girls Are Easy, which is another one.
Right. I'm working on okay, if it doesn't have a stinger at the end of the credits, maybe I should be a little more lenient. Yeah.
Well, that's up to you.
Right. Well, we're trying to get 50 podcasts in by the end of the year. It's gonna, I'm gonna have to probably expand it at some point.
But anyway, going back, 80s special effects, when they're really well done, they're pretty mind-blowing. And if they're not well done, they're at least more fun to make tease than bad CGI.
Yes, no, I will take, gosh, it almost makes you glad that David Cronenberg hasn't really done body horror since existence. That's Big X and Big Z. Yeah, so, I don't want to see him screwed up with CG.
There is a bit near the end of Maps to the Stars involving fire that doesn't quite take as well as it could as practical effect.
Yeah, nobody...
It's not enough to ruin the movie, but...
Right, but so many people do fire bad. When did the auteur Frankenstein start getting his word? Like, is he filling in for the... well, there's a with the wine scenes being out, somebody's got to fill in the scene. Fire bad. Fire expensive. And we can all agree upon that. Like, as long as you're not, you watch enough really bad movies. The movies that helped inspire me to write my pro wrestling zombie comedy designed for a Z budget, Management of the Dead, ask for a treatment at russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. And I'll also take advice on how to get it out of developmental hell. And they're going to, they get thrown through the glass, and the glass is there. That's CG. Mm-hmm. I watched Sharknado, and it's like, almost there's a way to make Sharknado work. It does not what they did. And chainsawing, I don't think they were smart enough to think the chainsawing the shark to get a person who was swallowed by one should have been a nice tribute to early Peter Jackson, like Bad Taste and Dead Alive. No, I don't think they had that in mind. So, let me just take a look at my notes. Coppola to Suave Vampire. I mean, I can understand why Mom's all about Frank Langella.
Yeah.
Why she wouldn't go to see why she made Dad go to Masters of the Universe, I don't know. Which is something I really have to rewatch. Like, Allie has got her Fire Stick figured out. Of course, I bought one. Like, okay, I need one to own just so I can troubleshoot Rory and the kids and Allie. She's got Netflix. She threw me off. Like, I got the Fire Stick working, and okay, good. So you have your music on it. You just hooked it up to the Wi-Fi. Well, I haven't checked for my music, but I had just hooked it up to the Wi-Fi and subscribed. Whoa! No, there's no subscription because I had to go break down all these old email accounts of hers to get it optimized. Oh no! I subscribed to Netflix. So okay, so we got to get Allie's password at some point, or I do, but I digress. So yeah. Otherwise, as I said, I watched Possessor recently, and you know, it just lacks the levity or brevity. You know, it's a little too, you know, when you think Cronenberg, you want a little, like, this is fun, crazy, like Michael Ironside in Scanners. James Woods and Jennifer Jason Leigh is great. I'm glad she got brought back. Because he's got a weird ensemble at times. Because he had Ian Holm. You think he doesn't work with a lot of people, then you stop and really think about it. Like, oh yeah, Viggo Mortensen was his Bobby De Niro
for 3 movies.
Yeah. But Possessor, good practical effects, and I think the computer works great in it.
Yeah.
I mean, and when I look at our reviews, our ratings on Letterboxd, it's like we're very close. Usually one person gives it a 0.5 star more, one person a 0.5 star less. But other things I've noted, like, I do kind of sit back and realize, like, why did we have to cast Leslie Nielsen in every comedy in the 90s? Because, Mel Brooks' Van Helsing. I was down for that. I mean, especially the staking scene, and just a lit. I think she's just a lit. She's dead enough. And something I've really noticed is staking has become far more efficient in modern vampire movies. I mean, you can say, oh, well, you can load a shotgun, you can load the stake in a shotgun, like Blade. And it's like, no, I really think ever since John Travolta shoved that hypodermic needle into Uma Thurman's heart in Pulp Fiction, like, I think we stopped and realized, oh, it's that easy? Little anger, and boom. I'm just, as I say, John Harker is even, and I know that much about Bram Stoker's Dracula, are just incompetent. I mean, I look back and I say, I sent the tweet out and I said, yeah, I think Dracula 2000 kind of fits in that nice middle ground. No, it's far less superior, at least production to 79, but I think, again, at least it comes back to the camp.
Yeah.
And it's great for Wes Craven's name, and hey, it's got Nathan Fillion in it, and really, can you badmouth too many Nathan Fillion projects?
So, have you been watching any other horror movies of late?
No, but
I've been catching up on a few. We were talking earlier. I caught up with John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's just a Blu-ray that's always, I've had forever. We were talking about what was on Criterion, and I recently did actually take Gregory Carl up on getting a Shudder subscription, which now it just tells you that if you want the original 2010 Netflix experience, you need a something like HBO Max, who still likes their movies, thankfully.
Yeah.
Criterion Channel, or Criterion Channel, and then Shudder, and I think you got what Netflix was back in 2010. That was the good stuff. Yes, I do want Allie's Password, but that's solely because Stranger Things 4 is coming. There's eventually Witcher 2. There's shows I did like.
Yeah. Looking at some of the other horror films I've been looking at, and I've been poking around, you know, all the different levels.
Oh,
you
as I say, you got
Disney kiddie films.
and you have more nerve.
I'm kind of on the fence about.
I haven't watched it yet. It's definitely there. I did dig Star Wars Tales of Terror. You bring Christian Slater to do a voice, it's usually gold.
I really liked Joe Dante's The Burbs.
Yeah, I did see that on yours. Dante, I don't know. I have not seen enough Joe Dante. I mean, I've seen a lot of Piranha, which is good. What I got?
Well, Dante just kind of had bad luck. I mean,
Second Civil War, that would really left a bad taste. And of course, my mom was a fan of Second Civil War, so I should have been a little more ready for that.
I like Dante's films. I don't quite love his work the way a lot of genre fans do, but I understand why people love it.
Yes.
And I am really fond of Explorers.
Oh, no, that's definitely been one.
I think Shout Factory's getting to that one.
And speaking of Shout Factory, I did see the Coraline disc when I was at Best Buy.
Yeah. They're working through all the Leica films.
Yes, so.
With The Burbs, I think it's a better use of Corey Feldman than Lost Boys is. It might be Corey Feldman's magnum opus.
Okay, well that's...
The casts Dante tends to assemble for his movies are always interesting.
Yes.
But I think The Burbs kind of takes it to the next level with how quirky it gets in terms of the casting, and I'm here for it.
Oh.
Bruce Dern with the brownies.
I've always just come in on something weird immediately happening when I come in on that movie, and it's like, no, I'm not ready for this. This isn't like Tommy Boy, where somebody was starting to watch it at work, and I said, oh, and I hear, shut up, Brandon. Oh, you're watching Tommy Boy. Yeah, I've never actually watched it beginning to end. I just, I know once somebody brings up, everybody's just put the jokes into the zeitgeist by this point.
Yeah, that's a problem with a lot of comedies.
Yeah, so, not to say that we really spoke of any jokes prior, like besides for the phone bit prior to the Chris Farley's girlfriend in the movie threatening to kill children. And I don't know why I put that I'm a podcaster, like, on my dating profiles. It's like, okay, the people young enough that need to rush to have children probably don't dig these ideas. And never mind the total lack of maturity when you listen to this podcast on my behalf. I am a bloody Toys R Us kid, all right? Give me that diaper and shave my head. That's an amazing Colossal Man joke, but...
Oh. Yeah.
I don't want to grow up.
I don't want to grow anymore.
I'm a Toys R Us kid.
I don't want to grow anymore.
I'm a Toys R Us kid. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, right now it's more like, okay, I got to make time for movies that are actually getting to the cinema now. But and then of course my next Netflix DVD is going to be JFK's a special edition. So that's gonna be a take it right out of the envelope, watch it on Tuesday. So yeah, I can't really I don't know, I'm trying to stay excited. I finished Loki recently,
right? And
yeah, I don't know why somebody at work at GameStop told me because what was I buying? Oh, something Marvel related. Oh, have you watched Loki yet? I mean, have you watched What If. No, I'm still finishing. Oh, you got to finish Loki before you watch What If. I'm like, okay, this seems a little too weird. And then it's after, like, I guess people are saying, at least on AV Club, that Marvel is solely stuck, can't do anything separate from the timeline now because of What If. So, but yeah, I can't really say. I mean, I got Shudder now, and it's got all the like, besides for Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which again I told you, geez, you had more nerve because I remember seeing that on Bravo's
100 Scariest Movies list.
Yeah, and it's like seeing the bit where they're, I mean, a lot of blurriness in this scene where they're watching their tape of their murder, and then he pulls it, he hit stops. What do you want to do? I want to watch it again. Like, be kind, rewind. Like, that's kind of been too dark. And, like, I thought that was way too dark for me to even get into. You got through it. You gave it 4.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is a very cold film.
Yes.
And that works to its advantage.
I
can see why it was as deeply controversial as it was, though, especially at the time. It was looking at Wikipedia, this was basically one of the movies that pretty much forced the MPAA's hand as to coming up with NC-17.
Okay. That's interesting. No, I was trying to see, like, oh, I have a VPN. I can work around. I can find it free somewhere. She saw it on Criterion. I really should probably hit her up.
It is on Tubi with ads.
It didn't pull it up recently.
That's odd.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because I think I saw it on Tubi maybe when I was looking through Don't Go, and like, oh, Don't Go in the House. That's a video nasty. Yeah, I'm going to watch that. Oh, so you're showing me the UK cut. Yeah. That was a letdown. It's like, one, it shouldn't be Don't Go in the House. It's Don't Get in the Car. But, like, I mean, there's some great bits in that movie. Like, oh, well, I know they're trying to do Italian horror, but Maniac does it a lot better. Which is one I saw. That, you see, that's just a weird thing. Like, okay, everybody, Tom Savini, best shotgun special effect. I'm all down for that one, but I guess Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer just seemed a little too inside your own head type thing, like psychological or yeah. So, but thinking about John Carpenter, I do have In the Mouth of Madness. I picked that one up when it was cheap to watch. I already watched.
I haven't seen it yet, but people see that there seems to be a serious cult around that one.
Yeah,
because it didn't really get talked up much at the time, from what I recall.
Well, I've seen the other 2 films in the
Apocalypse trilogy. I understand.
Yeah,
they call it
Prince of Darkness, and what's the thing?
The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness.
Right. And yeah, Prince of Darkness is really good. But it was definitely kind of there is a sense that it kind of feels like a hangover from Big Trouble in Little China, because you got so much of the same cast coming for that one. Yeah. Alice Cooper is a homeless Satanist. You gotta like that. That should sell you on the movie to begin with. And it's the first time I ever got exposure to Schrodinger's cat. So, but yeah, otherwise, as I say, I still got to look into, it's basically more of a tactic to get more guests on the show. Oh, I want to do this movie. It's too bloody long. 90 minutes. Like, come on. It's 90 minutes perfect time. Like, how long do you want a movie to be, how long do you want the Netflix to be if the point is the end chill? And it's like, I don't want to binge. Like, now with binging television, like, you can get lost in that. It's good time frame, And now you watch a 90-minute movie, and now your local news, or in my case, and now The Daily Show. Like, Yeah, I'm totally out of touch without cable, I guess. Not to say that I was watching the local news compared to The Daily Show, but I didn't even know there was going to be a hockey team 30 minutes away from me.
Right.
So that would be the Vermilion County Bobcats. It's like, that town is the size of Pekin. But, so you're not really excited about any movies coming up?
No, I just can't. My new self-made policy of waiting 10 years or so to wait for the awards contenders and stuff.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, it's a constant from Bill Simmons on The Ringer for the rewatchables. No, they really should do the Oscars like 5 years after the year that they're supposed to do them in.
But I'm just not feeling a lot of it. I've grown out of Disney animation at this point. Although I think part of it is I've seen some people say that the problem with Disney now is that they feel more like what the knockoff Disney films of the 90s were like, just in shiny CGI, and that they don't feel quite feel pure.
Right, and I can see that.
Encanto, I just feel it's suspicious about the plot.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's a musical.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those movies that reminds me of from the lovely animated show Bluey. There's an episode where they go to the movies, and it's a Disney style musical they're watching, and
Disney is showing this show on their networks.
It's been very popular.
No! Everyone loves Bluey.
Yeah, but it's kind of a stinging little parody of Disney films as you could do on a show that's aimed at a preschool audience. I wish I was a different. Ugh, their songs. And then later, when they're in the lobby and they're chatting about something, I'm trying to get the line exactly right, but I know it's going to probably be a paraphrase. Look, mate, I'm pretty sure that in the end, everyone will like that the monkey was different.
Yeah.
That it's because Encanto sounds like one of those kind of movies.
Well, the problem is they have Pixar, and Pixar usually knocks it out of the park.
I don't know. Pixar's had 4 movies in the past few years that just haven't made much of a mark at all, if you think about it.
Well, I'm still like, there was a ringer
post Toy Story 4. They really haven't.
I mean, Coco was the last one that really hit with me. There's not much love towards the one with Chris Pratt. See,
Onward.
Yeah, over if I'm calling the actors out, and that's something we should never have gotten to with Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's
I think it's okay to say intercourse robbery.
They're just not sticking. Although you could also say that about what Disney's done.
Well, I mean, Soul is something I still need to get around to. I mean, you're giving me Death, 9 Inch Nails, and Cats. Like, no, I gotta get there. Yeah. No, I mean it's very much like, I will say that the Marvel television series have kept me intrigued. That I want to see how these people we don't know work out. Shang-Chi is doing well, and it can't be shown in China, so that tells you how good it is. And the Eternals probably can't be shown in China. It's good that I mean, I try my best to cheer on the communist overlords, but it's good we're getting away from that. And
looking here, what do we have the rest of the year? I guess I am interested in the French Dispatch, the next Wes Anderson movie.
I mean, it's a what is it? A anthology film, which is
of a sort, yeah.
Yeah, which I still gotta. I'm an Edgar Wright nut, so of course I'm gonna see Last Evening in Soho, right?
Last night in Soho.
And then there's still, for me, there is the Resident Evil movie. I want to see how they do this right.
I am curious about Steven Spielberg's West Side Story.
It just seems like it's going to be way too much.
I don't know. I don't think too much is a bad thing to shoot for right now. If anything, I think one reason I've been so relatively underwhelmed by newer movies in recent years is that they don't go far enough. I mean, you go back to these older films.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that I'm not... Like, you didn't exactly go and run to Ready Player One. I liked it, but you had no intention of ever seeing that.
I did see it eventually on video, and I liked it.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm just saying it's like, and boom, everything in your face. No, I don't want everything in my face. Now, you're absolutely right that there's nothing, like, you're getting hit with facades and not actual content behind the punches.
Yeah. I mean,
That's what I mean. I think I think West Side Story just sounds like it's going to be too much. It's like, it's Steven Spielberg. He's, like, I don't know. I can't think of the last subtle thing he's really done.
What about The Post?
Oh, you know.
That's the thing Spielberg, almost
yes,
at this
we
point,
just
we take that guy for granted at this point
and
because
you're absolutely,
he's worked pretty consistently.
Yeah, no, he does a movie a year. At least.
And at this point.
Only Steven Soderbergh throws more crap at us. Yeah. And that all depends if Steven Soderbergh's in the mood to do anything.
Yeah. But I've kind of fallen out of the whole franchise of Palooza thing.
Oh, no. We're... Look, I do, as I say, I think MCU is intriguing me enough. I will say, it's very weird that it's because of Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna meet. She's in the stinger of Black Widow. All right, I'm there. So, yeah, she was great in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's like, what if okay, I don't want to... I can't remember the name of her character on Seinfeld.
Elaine.
Yeah, what if Elaine was the president on Veep instead of just an incompetent woman as a president? So, but yeah, no, franchises... I don't know. If in a perfect world... With the exception of Star Wars material, we should take a 10-year hiatus. Andrew Yang, run on that. Because he always got something cool that people will get behind. They won't get behind you, but they'll get behind your ideas. A 10-year freeze on franchises. You're telling me Michael B. Jordan can't keep that heat up for 10 years so he can finally do Creed 3?
But again, I'm just not sure where it's going. I'm just not particularly interested in the holiday season releases, and
it's a stacked holiday though. That's just it. And yes, a lot of it is franchise, as I say. Okay, I'm up for Ghostbusters. Yeah, Resident Evil. Yeah, I still gotta watch Venom. Yeah. I mean, I'm feeling like Peter Griffin riding Falcor. Yeah. But I think a lot of that solely is just because of the pandemic, and we're finally getting everything out now.
Well, also, there's the fact that of all the movies we've had released so far since the pandemic began, now that we are catching up, I don't see any movie that's managed to really capture people's imaginations and be what everybody talks about for more than that first weekend at most.
Right. No,
we had stuff like the Snake Eyes movie come and go.
I heard that was good.
The Pixar movies haven't stuck. I mean, the response to Luca was... A lot of the response to Luca was, Pixar just isn't that good anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I wanted to see Luca, so It's just very difficult.
Maybe we just all grew out of Pixar.
No. I think it's. I think adulthood sucks, and not I can't. Like, how many video games have I owned that I haven't gotten even open to play? It's like, dang it, I gotta actually go and do shit. Like, some people say, oh, I would never quit working if I won the lottery. Like, you need something like that. No. I got movies. Mm-hmm. I got video games. And I'll have the money for porn star. And but I digress. Yeah. Well, let's see. Any new stuff with your Goldblum friends?
Not really. We're just waiting on the next season of his show on Disney Plus, which drops November 12th, along with all the other stuff.
So they go and talk about that on your thing, and I took the note at some point.
On The Complete Works.
Yes.
I don't know if they're going to talk about the show.
Mm.
I know they did with their Nicolas Cage season, which they periodically go back to now. They did cover the History of Swear Word show he did. So maybe we'll see something like that with World According To, but we have a while to go there. They're only just getting to Man of the Year this week.
Oh, geez, yeah.
They got a while to go.
Yeah.
But the big Disney Plus Day thing next month for the 2-year anniversary is when they're going to drop a bunch of stuff at once, including the next season of The Mandalorian starts. And they're going to drop like the first half.
They're doing the next season of Mandalorian? I thought it was just Book of Boba Fett.
Season 3? Yeah. Season 3 starts on November 12th.
Oh, I thought that was Book of Boba Fett.
I think that might be later. I don't know. They're supposed to be dropping a whole bunch of stuff that day. Like with World According to Jeff Goldblum, they're going to drop the first 5 episodes that day. And that's like half the season, as I remember it being announced.
Oh, I do have the boys to look forward to now that I think about it. But
right.
Okay. Dang, November. No, that's November 8 episodes. 16, 30th. Yeah, no, the third season's 2022, so it's gonna be Book of Boba Fett, I think, drops. So I don't know. Well, now even on Robot Chicken's continuity, Boba Fett did get out of the Sarlacc. So yeah, at least I don't know. I need a Star Wars movie. That's where I'm at really when it comes to cinema. I'm just trying to numb myself for the lack of Star Wars. Like, now it's Disney, but I'm like, come on, Disney, get in touch with Fathom Events and drop the first 2 episodes on the big screen. There. Mando kicks Doctor Who's butt. Okay, now I'm just trying to get a reaction. So.
Yeah, that starts. I guess they're going to start running that new season of Doctor Who on Halloween. And I can't find a consistent explanation as to how many episodes we're supposed to have. For those who don't know, the season of Doctor Who is
the last.
Yeah, it's the last for Jodie Whittaker, and it's supposed to be one storyline over X amount of episodes plus some specials in 2022. But it's not clear if it's 8 episodes plus the specials or 6 episodes plus the specials. It's getting really unclear. And I'm not sure about where it's going to be streaming beyond BBC America app, because I know HBO Max has the show. I'm not sure if they're going to have a day and date.
Well,
which is important for some people I know who, don't have cable, but they do have HBO Max.
Well, and hey, let's see. This is not a paid promotion.
Because I've tried looking up the information and I can't find it.
Well, let me see. Well, I can attest though that Malware Bytes Privacy VPN does allow you to watch services like Fight TV to watch your AEW commercial free, which would be as long as you say you're not in the United States or Canada, probably. And this would mean that you can get the BBC iPlayer and watch it stateside. So, never mind, there's BritBox, and I think that's BBC anyhow, but, alright. So now we're just killing time, so, yep, so you know where to find me on Twitter. That's at CatBusRuss, that's at CatBusRuss. So, as I say, 5-star reviews if you like the podcast. Hate directed to Twitter. Just help me with the algorithm, folks. And you can find all my writings at maineventofthedead.com. And I know Rory's Twitter, but I'm not going to give that you the best place to get in touch with the Poetic Critic is Letterboxd, and that's the Poetic Critic, all one word. Don't get thrown off from those 2 C's. Otherwise, thanks Stacia Harden for being my inspiration and keeping me doing this creative shit. And, you know, making sure everybody who cared about you touched is doing fine. So thanks again to the Poetic Critic.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you next week.
Can I hear a wahoo?